Hello everyone, it's Laura here from C Clear Counselling. So welcome to another one of my Tuesday afternoon live videos, and this week we're going to talk about CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, and how it might be able to help you. So for those of you that haven't joined me before, then welcome, and I hope that you enjoy these videos. So what I always do is I put a replay of this video onto my Facebook page, C Clear Counselling, and I always write a blog afterwards, and I put that blog onto my website, www.cclearcounselling.co.uk, so that you can access it through blog or watching the videos. So if you're coming on board, and I see a few people are joining me already, Alex has given me a wave. Hello Alex. So if you're coming on board, please do give me a wave, give me a thumbs up, let me know you're there, because it's always nice to know that I'm not just talking to myself. And if you happen to be watching on the replay, then please do put replay in the comments, and at any time that you've got any comments as I go through the video, then please do make them. It's always interesting to hear your own comments, and if you've got any questions, that would be great. So if anxiety is something that you struggle with, then you may be interested in my Facebook group, which is a support group for adults who struggle with anxiety. You just do a search for Beating Anxiety Through COVID-19 and Beyond, and just put a search in the Facebook search bar, and I can welcome you into that group if you're interested. Hello Rainey, thanks for the wave. So as I say, today we're going to focus on cognitive behavioural therapy and how it might be able to help you. And I wanted to talk about this for a number of reasons. Firstly, I wanted to try and take away some of the myths about counselling or therapy, because many of you may have heard of CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, but are not really sure what it's all about and whether or not it might be able to help you. Hello Denise, hello Katie, thank you for joining me. Please give me a wave. So that was the first reason really, to kind of, take away some of those myths. The second was that if you struggle with something like anxiety or depression, you may well take a trip to your GP, and he may suggest to you a course of CBT therapy and say that that might be quite useful to you. But you may be quite nervous about engaging with this because you're not really sure what that's all about. And thirdly, I just wanted to bust the myth about therapy in general, because I think that we kind of feel that therapy is only for people who struggle with their mental health or have mental health problems. And actually, counselling or therapy can really help if you're just experiencing a difficult situation in your life, but you may not feel that you can turn to counselling or therapy. You might think, oh gosh, I'm going to have to drag things up from my past, I'm going to talk about things that I don't really want to talk about, or that I'm going to have to sit in a room and I'm just going to have to talk about myself for 50 minutes and I've got no idea what I'm going to be able to talk about. And actually, CBT is quite different from that. So I kind of wanted to kind of give clarity on what therapy is and where it can help people, especially at this time, because I think that, we've been through an extremely difficult period in our lives with this COVID-19 pandemic. And I think that a lot of people are just struggling trying to get back into some sort of normality with their life. And kind of feeling that there's some struggles of being able to go back to work or integrate back into normal life, and maybe thinking that they need a little bit of help, but perhaps counselling or therapy is a bit too out there to be able to help them. And actually, I think for a lot of people, a little bit of CBT therapy could be really helpful. So I just wanted to try and kind of put people's mind at rest, and perhaps if you do feel you need some help, then you could reach out to someone with some CBT therapy that could be helpful to you. There are, of course, many different types of counselling, and all of them are useful in their own way. I've actually been trained in quite a few different forms of counselling, and I will work with a particular client in the way that's most beneficial to them. But CBT is much more of an interactive therapy. It's you and the therapist really working together alongside each other. And the therapist works alongside you to help you understand certain tools and resources, and will probably use worksheets, maybe even a whiteboard within the therapy room to help to explain the things that might be helpful to you. So within CBT, you'll probably find there's a lot more input from your therapist, as they'll be demonstrating or explaining tools and strategies that are going to be useful to you. And so, as I say, that might be very useful to people at the moment, because at the start of lockdown we were struggling with going into this isolation and how we dealt with that, and I put up a few videos about handling that. But the CBT therapy may really help people kind of get a better understanding of how they're reacting to certain situations, because what CBT does is really focus on the here and now and helping you through what's happening in the here and now. It helps you focus and understand on why you're thinking, feeling or behaving in a certain way, and then gives you useful tools and strategies to help you make changes to those thoughts, feelings or behaviours so that they become more helpful to you. So, as an example, say, when I was looking at setting up my counselling business, I was putting up an awful lot of barriers that were preventing me from taking the leap from a nice cosy corporate job into running my own business, which might be a little bit dodgier than having that nice cosy corporate job. And actually, it was through my own CBT sessions that I uncovered the thoughts that were holding me back. And once I'd reframed those thoughts, it allowed me to feel differently about setting up my own business. And I went from a fear of setting up my own business and making up lots of excuses why I couldn't do it, to a place where I actually started to feel really excited about it. And here I am now, running my own counselling business and absolutely knowing it was the right decision to make in life. And I really do feel that it was those CBT sessions that I had that, well, they were the catalyst for me in really realising that I was capable of doing this. So CBT was really useful to me in helping me get to some solutions for a problem that I was kind of wrangling with. So as you can see, CBT isn't just for people that we say maybe are suffering with a mental health problem. It's useful for everyone at any time of life. So if you have a particular situation or an event that's causing you to feel like it's holding yourself back in life, or it's causing you distress, or you've got a bit of uncertainty around it, then CBT can be really useful to you. It also provides you with skills that you can continue to use long after you've finished your therapy. I call it a toolbox of useful resources that you can dip into at any time to help you out. And actually, a lot of my clients, when I talk to them, they say, oh, I had to go into my Laura toolbox this week and find that resource. And once I'd found that and worked through it, it really helped me to get through that situation. So, you know, once you've become adept at these skills and strategies, you've got that toolbox for life. So that's why I feel it's going to be really useful to some of you at the moment. So how does CBT help you get from a place of, say, negativity to a place that perhaps feels more positive? I'm going to try and explain it to you in a simple way. I'll try not to use jargon. There might be a little bit of it. So as I say, CBT teaches you strategies, methods and skills that are research-based, and it's actually thought to be one of the most effective forms of psychotherapy. That's why the NHS use it quite a lot, because actually you can get some really good tangible and good outcome data and see the shift that people have made. So the NHS really like that. They like to have good, strong outcome data. So CBT stands for Cognitive Behaviour Therapy, and the cognitive is referring to what you think, your thoughts. So a lot of focus is on understanding your thoughts and those beliefs that give you those thoughts. So the central idea of CBT is that your thoughts about a situation, an event or an experience can powerfully affect your emotional response, your physical response, and then ultimately how you're going to behave in that situation. And the basis of CBT is to work with a very simple model, and I call it the hot cross bun model because it's very simply just 4 boxes: thoughts, emotions, physical feelings, and behaviours. And we just have those 4 boxes, and then in the middle there's a cross that connects them all together. And what this shows is how all 4 of those are very interconnected with each other. And this model is very often used very early on in therapy to help clients understand this connection. And what we'll usually do is we'll take a real situation and we'll work through that model. Quite often it's the situation that kind of triggered them to come to therapy in the first place. So maybe there's been a breakup in a relationship, a new job, a death in the family, something that we can kind of use the model to understand what's going on for them. So let's take a simple example of how that might work. And let's take something that's relevant to now with COVID-19. So say you're on your way to the supermarket and you've got your face mask on, yes? And you think, I've got my face mask on, I'm doing the right thing, I'm feeling okay about going shopping. So you're probably going to feel quite calm about your shopping trip. Physically, you're probably quite relaxed, and your behaviour is probably going to be chatting to other shoppers, perhaps waiting in the queue to get into the store. So you can see how your thoughts, feelings, physical sensations and behaviours are all interconnected. Now, on the other hand, what you could be thinking, the thought that could be going on is, I hate wearing a mask to go shopping, I can't see the point, why do I have to wear it? That will probably lead to you feeling quite angry and frustrated. Physically, you're likely to feel quite tense, and your behaviour is probably going to be quite different. You're probably going to ignore people in the queue or even be quite snappy with them. So CBT helps you to identify and understand how those thoughts, feelings and behaviours are all connected, and how with simple everyday situations or even big life events, you can learn about the situation and your reaction to it and be having a more helpful reaction, because it's not the situation that causes the problem, it's how you react. So your thoughts and then how you're going to react. So through those exercises and certain skills, you will change your thinking pattern and your behaviours. And they may be thinking patterns and behaviours that you've been doing for a long time that keep you stuck in this distressing or negative place. And you learn to make slight changes. They're not big changes, they're just little shifts. But you make these slight changes in those thoughts and behaviours to give you a different outcome. And then through this work, you can discover how to lead a happier, calmer, and more confident life, probably. You'll be much more contented. This almost makes it sound too easy, doesn't it? And if you've ever tried to change a habit or stop doing something you've always done or learn a new skill, you know that it's not always easy. If you tried giving up smoking, perhaps losing weight, eating healthily, perhaps learning a new language. So changing our thoughts and behaviours is just as hard. And that's why going to therapy can really help guide you through this work. You can do it on your own. There's lots of self-help books, and CBT is very, very well aligned to self-help, and I am actually putting together a course myself for people that struggle with anxiety with all the tools and resources that you need to help with anxiety. So you can do it on a self-help basis. But actually, if you see a therapist, they can help you guide you through that work. You can work on the exercises together and perfect those skills. So in CBT therapy, it's usually quite structured. Each week you work with your therapist to uncover what your current thinking style or your current behaviour is. Then the therapist will probably introduce a resource, a skill, a tool, something that you can explore together. It will be either something that looks at how you can change your thinking style. For example, it might be what we call a thought record, where you look at the difference between facts and opinions and how you can change your thought and reframe your thoughts based on things like that. Or it may be looking at how you can change your behaviour by perhaps performing a behavioural experiment. And that will be behaving in certain ways outside the therapy room, in between your therapy sessions, and gathering evidence so that you can say, I think that when I behave like this happens. And actually, we kind of try that out, and then we gather some evidence and see that the situation isn't always how we think it's going to be. And so it can change how we might act when we're in a similar situation again. So the therapist will test your understanding of that tool and that new strategy. Together you'll work out some homework, something that you can do in the week between your next therapy session. And you'll go out and you'll test that in the real world. So this is great because you're learning stuff in the therapy room, but you're going out into the real world and really trying it out and seeing if it works for you. And in the next session, you and your therapist will review that. Kind of talk about the difficulties that you had, what was easy for you to do, what you were kind of didn't understand properly, and the things that you found out from it. And then you can review that and practice those newfound skills. And with the support of your therapist, you'll get more and more adept at those skills, and they'll introduce more skills as you get more adept at them. And so that leads you to your new way of thinking and behaving. So you start to learn that it's not the situation that causes the stress or the negative response, but it's your own reaction that quite often has started with that thought process or a certain way that you're behaving. And you've learnt to change those responses. So I hope that's helped take away some of the mystery around CBT therapy. And you can see that by understanding that relationship between your thoughts, your feelings, your physical symptoms and your behaviours, you can make positive changes in your life and change the way you react to situations. So if you feel that CBT therapy might be useful to you, then why don't you get in touch? We can always have a chat, talk about some of the things that are perhaps worrying you at the moment or bothering you at the moment, and we might be able to work in a way to help you kind of see that situation in a different way and be able to move forward from it. Or you can always go onto my website, www.cclearcounselling.co.uk, and have a read through about how I work with clients. I specialise in working with anxiety, and CBT works really well at helping to reduce feelings of anxiety. And as I say, I've produced an ebook as well about understanding anxiety better, and once that's ready, I'll put a post up about that. And that mentions in there some of the CBT tools and skills that will be useful to you to help you overcome your anxiety. So, as I say, a quick tour of CBT therapy, but I hope that's helped you understand a little bit more what's involved in CBT therapy and actually how it might be helpful to you. So as always, I'll put this up on a replay onto my Facebook page, See Clear Counselling. I'll also write a blog and put that onto my website, www.cclearcounselling.co.uk. And as I say, if anxiety is a particular something that you're struggling with, then why not ask to join my anxiety support group on Facebook. So search for Beating Anxiety Through COVID-19 and Beyond. Answer the 3 questions and I can welcome you into our lovely little community. We're over 100 members now, and in there I give you additional tips and hints and things on being able to manage your anxiety. And a lot of those tools and strategies that I've talked about here, I kind of introduce in that group as well. So that might be helpful to you. So next week I shall think of something else to talk about, but if you're particularly struggling at the moment with this transition out of isolation into this new normal that we have, and perhaps you're having some difficulties with certain situations, certain events that go on, certain experiences that are happening for you, then actually CBT therapy might really be able to help you through that little time. And something like 6 sessions can sometimes really give you some good tools to be able to use for that. So it might be worth something to think about. So thank you everyone for watching, and I will see you again next Tuesday at 4:30, and I'll give some thought about what I'm going to talk about next week. Thanks for being here. Bye for now.